Okay, tonight we're going to learn a little bit about Sfira Semer. We discussed already Shabbos afternoon, or second day Yom Tov afternoon, whatever. But today we'll talk about some dinim about the actual counting of the Omer, not the behavior during the time of the Omer. So, l'chatchila, you have to count 49 days. So therefore, the proper time for counting the Omer is l'chatchila as soon as it gets dark, because then you have a full day. But what happens if you didn't do it right away? So you're allowed to count until Alois Shachar, which is dawn. You're going to about 72 minutes before sunrise. So you're allowed to count a whole night, even though l'chatchila is best to count right after Ma'ariv. But the question is, what's the earliest that you're allowed to count the Omer? So the best thing again is after nightfall. If you did it bein hashmoshes, which is like we learned between sundown and nightfall, it's called twilight. So then b'di'evid you're yotzem, but it says it's better to count again without a bracha. It's better to count again without a bracha. If somebody counted after plaga mincha, which is again we learned an hour and a quarter of halachic hours before sundown, you should definitely count again after night. What happens if you counted before plaga mincha? Then it was worthless. You have to count again after nightfall because you can't count during the day with the bracha. Now we learned also what happens if you forgot at night. So then you do it during the day, anytime during the day, without a bracha, and then you can continue the following nights with a bracha. But now the question is like this: let's say, for argument's sake, bein hashmoshes is from 7:30 to 8, let's say. And somebody reminded themselves, they didn't count last night, and now at 20 to 8, or a quarter to 8, bein hashmoshes, they remember that they didn't count the previous night. Is it too late? So before Shkia, there's no question. Before sundown, you can definitely count. There's no question. You can count without a bracha, then you can continue counting. But the question is, a machlekes and halacha, if you could do that or not. And therefore, the halacha is you have to continue counting without a bracha, but it's preferred to listen to somebody else's bracha or the chazan's bracha, and then at least you hear a bracha and answering amen. So in a certain respect, it's like you made the bracha yourself. But the ideal time to do it is, so for instance, those people that bring in Shabbos early really should not count Omer until after nightfall. Okay, next is by the way, if you're making your own bracha, it says in halacha you should preferably, when the chazan makes the bracha, you should have in mind you don't want to be yotze his bracha. I mean, the minhag na'ilam is even if you just didn't think anything, you can make your own bracha. But it's better that you have in mind not to listen to his bracha because he's the chazan. So if you answer amen to his bracha, it's like you heard the bracha from the chazan. But again, the best thing is to have in mind that you're going to make your own bracha, and that's it. Another thing is like this. What happens if you ask somebody, what's tonight's Omer? Okay? So I'm not going to use today's day, obviously. So let's say you ask somebody, what's tonight's Omer? And the guy will say 5. So he shouldn't say 5. What the minhag is, they should say last night was 4. They could technically say tomorrow is 6. But it's easier 4 to 5 than 6 to 5. Adding is easier than subtracting. So the minhag is that you don't say today because then you count it officially. If you count it, then you can't make a bracha already. But the truth is, if somebody asks you what's tonight and you say 5, and you don't say today is 5, so then b'di'evid you're not yotze anyway. So you could still make the bracha. But you should say, preferably last night was 4, then you know that tonight is 5. And therefore it's brought down in halacha that when it comes lag ba'omer, so let's say you're learning between mincha and ma'ariv, you're saying, and you say today's lag ba'omer, so now the question is, can you count with the bracha because you just counted? But there they paskin, interestingly, that when you say tonight's lag ba'omer, you mean the day, you don't mean the counting of the Omer. The day is Lag BaOmer. So the Pascal Lepel, if somebody says tonight, you should be careful. But if somebody would say tonight's Lag BaOmer, they can still count with the bracha because they didn't mean the Omer day of it. They meant the day of the holiday of Rashbi, which is Lag BaOmer. What?
You said before that if a person hears the chazan, some of them shouldn't listen to that, but he should.
Where's the shkid? They can answer Baruch Hu Rashmi, yeah?
Let's say Kiddush, Friday night, let's say when somebody hears Kiddush in shul, he answers Amen, right? But then he goes and makes his own Kiddush after he comes home. So
if you're talking about because the Kiddush and shul you're not Yetzer with.
So you're saying that you are Yetzer with chazans?
If somebody makes a bracha, and I have in mind to be Yetzer, and I answer Amen, I was Yetzer the bracha. So then, again, the minig ha'olam in halacha is that even if I heard the chazan's bracha, and I just answered Amen, I didn't say Baruch Hu Baruch Shmei, I could still make my own bracha, because my intent is to make my own bracha. But if you're listening to the chazan's bracha, ideally you should say Baruch Hu Baruch Shmei. If you're going to be making your own bracha, then you say Baruch Hu Baruch Shmei. But again, one second. We discussed this already. There's a very interesting machlekes between the Chassam Sefer and the Alter Rebbe. The Alter Rebbe holds that when you need to hear a bracha like Kiddush, right? Not in shul, that you're not Yetzer anyway, Friday night. But let's say somebody makes a bracha and you say Baruch Hu Baruch Shmei. So according to the Alter Rebbe, it's very strongly implied that you're not Yetzer. You're not Yetzer Kiddush. If somebody says, they say Baruch Atah Hashem Mekadosh Shabbos, or Havdalah, right? And the guy said Baruch Atah Hashem, and you say Baruch Hu Baruch Shmei, according to the Alter Rebbe, you're probably not Yetzer Kiddush. The Chassam Sefer, they bring down that in this Beis Medrash, people used to answer Baruch Hu Baruch Shmei, and he never protested. So they want to learn from that. The Chassam Sefer held that if you answer Baruch Hu Baruch Shmei, it's not a hefsek, and you could still be Yetzer. What?
Like if you're in the middle of Shemona Esrei and they do Havdalah in the shul, and you listen in on it, and you're saying, and like you would say like listening it, or you would say that you did Havdalah, or do you have to go repeat Havdalah?
It's nothing to do with Sfiras Omer, but yeah, the answer to the question is, if you stop Shemona Esrei and you hear Havdalah, and you had in mind to be Yetzer, you can't answer Amen though, yeah. But yeah, you are Yetzer.
And then people who hold Rabbeinu Tam, do they need to, it's better that they wait till Rabbeinu Tam to say the bracha for the Omer? Because by then it's not nighttime yet.
You mean Rabbeinu Tam Shkia or Rabbeinu Tam's Tefillin? Shkia, Rabbeinu Tam. Okay. So it's brought down that those that keep Rabbeinu Tam Shkia should keep Rabbeinu Tam Shkia when it comes to counting the Omer. But most people that are machmer by Shabbos, Rabbeinu Tam Shkia Sfira, they'll still do earlier. What?
If it's Rosh Hashanah and you realize that you forgot to say the Omer for the day before, and you're, for whatever reason, you won't have an opportunity to say it afterwards again for the night after, can you say it with a bracha for the previous day and a bracha for the following day?
No. Once it's night, for sure you can't say it already. No, so you can't do that. First of all, it's one bracha per night. You can't have 2 nights with one bracha. It doesn't work like that. Yeah.
Is the mitzvah that counting? Say I forget to say bracha every night, but I count. The following day, I'm awake and alert, I count the day. Don't I get the mitzvah for counting? Because the Torah says count. The fact that
Okay, first of all, in the time of the Bais Din, it shows a biblical mitzvah. Nowadays it's rabbinic, okay, because we don't have the carbon Omer. Now, if somebody, technically, we said, if you missed at night and you count during the day, you can continue counting, yeah? So technically, if somebody for 48 days only counted by day and didn't count at night, the last night, he can make a bracha. I mean, it's not the best thing to do, obviously. You're not supposed to do that. But yeah, then you'd, because the pro, you did the mitzvah. Now, it's interesting, halacha, what happens if somebody doesn't remember if they counted or not? I don't remember, did I count last night? And now it comes tonight. I don't remember last night if I said the Omer or not. So the din is, on a doubt, you do make a bracha. It's a very interesting chiddush of Sfiras Omer. On a doubt, it's only if I know for sure I didn't count, then I cannot continue counting with the bracha, if I missed the whole day. But if I'm doubt whether I said the bracha or not, then the din is I can continue counting with the bracha.
Isn't every day separate? Isn't every day?
That's the machlekes. It's a one long mitzvah. So in fact, there's a question. Somebody asked me the other day, by the way, why don't you make a shechyon on Sfiras Omer? It's a mitzvah with Rabbonim at least today, yeah? And a mitzvah with Rabbonim, you make shechyon. Why don't you make shechyon on Sfiras Omer? So there's two answers. Number one, it's all a preparation for Shavuos. So the shechyon of Shavuos covers Sfiras Omer too. But another is, because if you blow a day, you missed a day, then there might be a bracha v'atola shechyon. So then you wouldn't say shechyon on Sfiras Omer. Yeah.
What if someone said a bracha and they counted and then they realized the next day that they counted the wrong day?
Counting wrong is like not counting. So let's say on the fifth night you said number 4, and then the whole day goes by, and the next night you're in shul and they're saying 6, and you say, oh my gosh, last night I counted 4, it's like you didn't count.
But if you, the shechina thing, it's the same thing as the regular bracha for Sfiras Omer.
What?
Also, according to that opinion, you might forget one of the 49 nights.
And Nechanami, but the fact is, that's why you continue counting without a bracha. But the halacha is, it's really every day a separate mitzvah, and therefore every day you make a bracha. But it's just if you think, huh?
So you should make the shechina every day.
No, it's one long mitzvah. It's not.
No, I've never counted the 29th day this year. Every one is a separate new mitzvah. If each one is a separate mitzvah, then for every day it's a separate mitzvah shechina.
So then, according to you, if you bench lulav every day of Sukkot, so I never benched lulav this year on the second day of Sukkot. I never benched the third day.
The mitzvah is the first day, and we continue it for 7 days. Seriously, if every day is a separate mitzvah, the Torah says count 49 days, so every day is a separate
But it's
mitzvah.
one hemshech, one
But we
mitzvah.
don't pass them like that.
What?
We pass them that every day is a separate mitzvah.
Every day is a separate mitzvah, but it's a separate mitzvah of one continuous mitzvah of counting 49 days. The mitzvah is Tispur Chamishim Yom, or 14 up to 50. The mitzvah is to count 49 days. Okay? So you say each mitzvah is like we said the other day. Tefillin, every day is a separate mitzvah. I miss Monday, everybody says I have to do Tuesday. I missed Monday, because it's every day is a separate mitzvah. But the Omer is every day a separate mitzvah, but it's one continuation of 7 weeks and 49 days.